I'm Garry Cook, and this film is about documentary photography. I take photos like these. This is from Lancashire Encounters Red Dream Parade, and I take photographs like these. These are poets Harry Baker and Mike Garry at the Ferret live music venue in Preston, and I take photographs like these. These are from a recent project of portraits of Preston people. Hi, here we are in Preston, down by the river, hottest day of the year, taking some portraits for my Proud Preston People project. Adrian is first up, and I'll be taking some portraits of him, and you can see how I work. But my real passion, and what we're here to talk about now, is documentary photography. So here we go, a short introduction to documentary photography and photographing people. Beautiful landscapes, sunsets, people smiling at birthday parties. These are all the things that do not represent photography to me, even though I did take all of these photographs. My photography is people. People in all their brash, dirty glory. People are the most interesting subject to photograph. People in the pub, people as tourists, people at work. Showing people in social situations often doing something that can seem boring is what makes documentary photography so valuable. An image not only captures a moment, it captures a time and a place, a mood, a feeling, a fashion. It captures reality, and realities do change. Streets change, cars change, signs change. And documenting people doing everyday things is hugely valuable. But what is documentary photography? Documentary photography is the most honest form of photography you can get. There is no manipulation, certainly not Photoshop like cloning or removal of a sign in the background. Documentary photography captures things as they happen, as they are, with as little interference as possible from the photographer. So, you could have someone looking into the camera in a documentary photograph, but it would not be deliberate. You would not have asked them to. Documentary photography differs from photojournalism in that it usually tells a story constructed over a longer period of time and is not restricted to a news event. It's easy to forget that what we see before our eyes today can quickly become history. These photographs of smokers were taken in 2007. Already they feel like they are from a different age. I look at these and wonder how we put up with smoking in public places for so long. Dirty, foggy, smelly rooms, overflowing ashtrays, the foul stench on your clothes the next morning. We should be documenting the everyday and not just in obvious places. Photography in Blackpool is part of the resort's history. Cameras are everywhere. The subjects of the lenses play up to the camera. In Blackpool, you get an acceptance to photography like you do at any tourist destination. But come away from the coast to where you might consider to be more mundane and the reaction is different. I love photographing people shopping. These are from 2008, Woolworths in Preston. There is less expectation to be photographed doing everyday things. Our culture of photography does not usually reach towards these moments, but they should. These moments, these images, are just as important as the ones of people on holiday. In fact, they're probably more important because there are not so many of these types of images being taken. When you take photographs of people going about their everyday lives in this city or any working town which is not a tourist destination, you get a totally different reaction. You could get questioned. Some people might object. Most people don't mind. But it is that fear of a bad reaction which stops many photographers photographing people. I say, be brave. It takes a bit of courage to photograph anyone on the street, and know the law. It's very important to know the law when you are photographing in public. You can photograph any person anywhere in the UK as long as you're on public land, i.e. the street. If you're in a building or a shopping centre, you may need the property owner's permission. My approach has always been to never intentionally upset anyone, and if someone does express concern, have a conversation with them and show understanding. However, no person has a right to demand that you delete a photograph, and that includes the police. Photographs can inform people of serious issues. This is a story I did on the conflict between Israel and Palestine. Growing up, my perception of Palestinians and the West Bank was very different to what it is now. I remember watching film of fanatical crowds surrounding Yasser Arafat, the former PLO leader. The Palestinians were perceived as terrorists, the Israelis the victims. The truth, as I found out, is much more complicated. I visited the West Bank twice, in 2009 and 2012. Palestiniana is an account of my second trip to the region, where I followed a group of international activists across the West Bank as they prepared to launch a series of demonstrations in Ramallah, Jericho and Hebron. I went to refugee camps, Israeli settlement areas and towns like Qalqilia, strangled by the wall which surrounds it. This project was published as a book, combining words and pictures of my experiences relating to the wider, long-running conflict of the area. It's written for anyone who is aware of the troubles in Israel, the West Bank and Gaza, but does not understand why the situation is as it is. Now, remember what I said about documentary photography capturing a time and a place. This place is now, 2020. A year more than any other that will be remembered for the weird way we've had to live. This situation is begging for our cameras.